Hi there, welcome to another episode 2 of the Ackee Pod Interviews with Writers. I'm Yashika Graham and it is an absolute pleasure to be back with you. I do want to start out by saying big thanks to all of you who have been supporting, have been sharing, have been liking and commenting on the program so far, on the excerpts that we share, and giving your support as we continue to build this space of sharing tips about writing, sharing about the writing journey, and quite a bit about craft. So I'm hoping that this will be a space, a resource for writers, and also something of interest for those who are readers, who are interested in literature, and all that entails. Now, this time around, this episode, we're trekking across the globe in general in this program, but this time around, we're going all the way to South Africa. We're leaving Kingston, Jamaica, heading to South Africa, and we do so with our featured writer this week, Busisiwe Mahlangu, who is a playwright, a poet, a writer of fiction, and she is also an honorary fellow in writing in the University of Iowa's International Writing Program. Her very first collection of poetry was released in 2018, titled Surviving Loss, and is said to be a gentle, urgent fight for voice and breath. I had the great opportunity of speaking with Busisiwe during her fellowship. We spoke about poetry, we spoke about staging poetry, about stagecraft, and we also spoke about writing across genres. So we hope you enjoy what we've packed into this episode for you. In the meantime, inviting you to leave a comment, to like, to share, and enjoy. I'm Yashika Graham once again, welcoming you to the Ackee Pod, Interviews with Writers.
I write to the wind to give these words freedom. Here, sister, take my tongue and run to the light. Be careful of the blood. I had to break my voice free, but my story will be carried by your feet. Where I end, you begin. Where you end, a small girl begins. Here, sister, take my eyes with you. They carry terror in them. Do not be afraid. These are warning shots, a collection of sins performed against us. But I want you to know that beyond the torture, my dreams are burning darkness. I wish you capture this light because it was made for your eyes. Here, take my ears. They are a well of screams. They know all the waiting I've done to be heard. They're an ocean of songs sung in whispers. But I want you to know that when you reach an open field, sing the song of your happiness with all the breath inside you. I will listen for your freedom, and I will know that somewhere the future is kind to us.
My name is Busisiwe Mahlangu. I am from South Africa. I grew up in a township called Mamelodi, which means Mother of Melodies. I am a poet, writer, and I try to bring the musical aspect in it with my words and my writing. I find poetry to be so melodic. Yeah, that's what I do. I write stories, I write many things. I try to experiment as much as I can. I envision somewhere in the future where I'll just be introduced as Busisiwe Mahlangu, writer, because I'll be writing so many different things in different genres. It will be a long list to pick one.
So tell me, because you write in different genres, so tell me about what you enjoy doing in each of them.
I think what I enjoy mostly is having access to different genres, sometimes I'll write a poem and I'll realize that it might work better as a story, or I'll write a story and then it works better as a play. And sometimes it means that one story can exist in different genres. So I feel like that is a resource, that is material for me, being able to move stories across different genres and experimenting and see what that looks like in each space. And I think there are some elements from each genre that unintentionally leak into the other genre. So you'll find that my short stories are more poetic and lyrical, and the language is more removed from the natural. I don't know if that is exciting for readers, but it is certainly exciting for me as a writer to see that kind of play with language also exist in the fiction space. When it comes to play, what plays offer me is a physical space that sometimes poetry and fiction might not have it initially. So having that physical space and imagining what the story will look like, imagining the characters, so it sort of puts you in being both the writer and the director and playing those roles simultaneously while you write. I find that to be exciting. And also just that plays are called plays. It's always a reminder for me that all of this is about playing at the end of the day. Art is about experimenting. This is how you access the creativity, by either playing with the language, playing with the story, using the resources that are available to you. So yeah, I love plays. It's a good reminder. You must play.
When you are on a stage, there is something, I mean, the work is powerful, but then when you occupy a stage, there is something that is so very moving and just breathtaking about how you occupy that space. So talk to me about the significance of the performance space for you as both the writer and then the actor now, or the performer that brings that to an audience.
I enjoy bringing my poems into the stage. What I love the most is the behind the scenes, the rehearsals, because there's so much that happens during rehearsals that doesn't make it to the stage. But the rehearsal space allows you to be silly, to make mistakes, to keep repeating the poem until you get tired of it. And yeah, it's just a place to get to know the poem. So I feel like during that process, there's this intimacy that I have with the work when I'm learning it. And also, it's also a reminder, because sometimes to me, published work feels very final. But then when I move it into the rehearsal, preparing to take it to the stage, it's that space that reminds me that I can change the work. The work doesn't have to be final. It can shift, I can edit it, I can even transform it completely. So for me, it's an opportunity to revisit the work that I have already thought of as final and bring that into the stage. So I feel what is exciting for me as a performer, by the time I make it to the stage and perform, there has been this relationship that I've built with the poems, with what I want to say. I feel like I've learnt it so intimately. Each word is sort of, it's sitting somewhere in my body. I remember it from a different part in my body, and I'm drawing from the feelings. And sometimes it just shocks me how beautiful it comes together, even though during rehearsals I might not know what the final piece will look like on stage. But once I'm on stage and I'm feeling it, and I'm like, oh my God, this feels amazing. Sometimes I do have those moments, and being able to share with the audience, to look at them and have them look at you, the active listening, that exchange of energy between the performer and the audience is always just such a magical experience for me that I treasure most. I feel like I sort of get to know the audience, looking into their faces, giving one audience member this line and then the other that line. And I don't know if I'm even explaining it to the best of my ability to the way it feels, but I think that's the closest I can get the language to the experience.
You're making me think about For Colored Girls. Just a few nights ago, a friend of mine sent me a link to the PBS production of that play. And I had never seen it before. It was from, I think, 1976, right? And so I was able to follow in the book, and while I was watching it, and there was something about that experience of like seeing it on stage and reading it, and I did notice some transformation. Like, so when you bring it to the stage, there's something different from the text. Can you speak to a specific time of when you had the work in the background, working it to get it on stage, and that you made a specific change that was surprising to you, and that you ended up editing the text?
I mean, sometimes I don't get to republish the edits, so sometimes I never get to have that opportunity, even though I might have a draft of the work that is edited after the stage performance, and then I try to mold the work according to the stage, because as well, I think the thing about most journals when they do an open call, they will say like only unpublished work that you can send. But I'm trying to build an archive for myself in my website where I can actually be able to document the transformation that my work goes through, how the stage pours back into the text. So I want to do that for myself, and knowing that the work has been published, I think it also gives me limitless possibilities. I can have it on my website, I can republish it without worrying about anyone else rejecting it because it's already on the internet. I have had moments where the performance had really transformed the poem in such a way that sometimes I'll read from my book on stage. I'll read a poem that I haven't performed in a long time, and when I look down at the book, I realize that, the lines are actually so strange to me now because the performance aspect of the piece has transformed, and it no longer resonates to me the same way the lines look on the book. I would like to republish and actually document how that happens. I haven't had much of an opportunity to do that.
My body is small and pain lives there. Ever since the storm, pain flooded out of its place and looked for home. This escape is not intentional. It is an interruption for both of us. Pain is a glitch in my blood with its quest. I am a glitch with my small body. To evict pain is to evacuate too. We fall into a routine of temporary survival. Pins and needles under my skin. The roof leaks. I seal it with flesh. When all flesh is wound, I use gum. My body gets smaller. Pain grows. My body coils into itself and becomes a tenant. Pain is small and my body lives there. But in the silence, light is reaching out for me. It says, look at yourself. You have not died yet. You're an unending revolution. It says, look at yourself. You have not died yet. You're an unending revolution. It says, look at yourself. You have not died yet. You're an unending revolution. It says, look at yourself. You have not died. You're an unending revolution. You are
surviving loss.
I'm gonna ask you to speak about your collection, what you're doing in that collection.
Yeah.
Perhaps what you hope people might get from it.
I mean, as a writer, for me, it's hard to say, even sometimes to even hope what people get from the collection. So when I wrote Surviving Loss, initially I didn't have it in my head that I'm writing a book, and most of the poems were written individually and then later compiled when the possibility of the book came to life. And I think I did not write it with the hope that people would get something from it. I think maybe there's a part of me as a writer that hoped the book would be successful or that people would love it, but I didn't think about the actual impact it will have on people, because it's such a difficult thing to quantify and to imagine. But for me, like recently, I lost my grandmother and I was so far away from home, and what the book was for me was it was like I can talk to someone about my grief, and it felt like the language I needed existed somewhere else. And when I wrote this, I was 2021, so I didn't imagine that it's something I can use in the future when I need it. So so I think that is what the book has done for me recently, that I was shocked, to be honest. I was not expecting that, and I was not even reading it because I was grieving. I was reading it because I was preparing for performances here in the program, but not because I wanted the resource. And while I was preparing, that's when I realized that, oh my word, this is exactly what I needed. So I think I can speak on the impact the work has had on me. Sometimes I've been privileged to hear from people what the work has done for them, and other times I never get to find out.
Could you read a poem?
Which one?
You choose.
It's so hard choosing. It's so hard choosing. But I'll read one poem that I think was very grounding for me in this time, and it's very short. This is titled River. Near the end of a song, I am not ready to stop this dance with you. Tell me you will sing with your mouth. Tell me you will summon time to wait for us. Tell me good things that don't end, don't rot. Pour the song out of your body like a river.
Thank you.
Okay.
And we're back from Iowa City. We're back from South Africa, back to Kingston, Jamaica, and thanking you for joining us for this episode of the Ackee Pod. I'm Yashika Graham, and I must say big thanks to Busisiwe for sitting down with me and sharing a bit about her writing and her writing practice. And we do hope that you'll continue to join us next week, Monday. Join us again right here at 5 p.m. on the Wild Current Studios channel for another episode. And we'll soon tell you who we're going to bring to you. Just wait.